I'm always in the mood for a sweet treat, so let's make some cinnamon roll blondies. I am no baker, y'all, but at the beginning of 2025, I was determined to learn and teach myself how to bake. Over the course of that year, I have made quite a few sweet treats, but this cinnamon roll blondie has by far been one of my favorites and easiest to make. It's foolproof, y'all. It's mostly butter and sugar, so it's nearly impossible to mess up. We'll start by making these cinnamon pockets by mixing brown sugar, cinnamon, and butter, and dollop them all over a parchment lined pan and place them in the fridge until ready to use. Be sure to check out the description box because I'll have all instructions and ingredients listed there. There are two things that I learned very quickly when I started this baking journey. First thing is you want to mix your dry and wet ingredients separately before combining them together. And the second thing is, unless otherwise stated in the recipe, all ingredients need to be at room temperature. So that was just me adding my dry ingredients, which is just flour and salt, and mixing it together before working with my butter and brown sugar. I forgot to take my butter out, so I threw it in the microwave for about 20-30 seconds and it was softened and ready to go. You want to cream together the butter and brown sugar just until it starts changing colors. I did overmix this this time that I did this recipe, but like I said, this recipe is foolproof, so even with overmixing, it turned out okay. Add vanilla and eggs. Now, no matter what I make, I always forget to take out my eggs ahead of time, but adding them to a cup of hot water brings them to room temperature and makes them ready to go by the time I need them. Now you want to fold in your dry ingredients with your wet ingredients. I normally mix in between a cup to a cup and a half at a time, taking my time to slowly mix everything in until just right before I can barely see the flour. I repeat these steps over and over until all of my dry ingredients are well combined. Add in 1/2 to 3/4 of your batter to a 9x9 baking dish. You can use an 8x8 baking dish, but just know your blondies will be a little thicker and it may change your baking time. But no matter what size baking dish or whatever you decide to use, make sure that it's parchment lined, okay? That just helps it to be easier to transfer once they're done baking. Take your time, spread out your batter, and get in those corners. The batter is thick, but it is fairly easy to maneuver, so like I said, take your time and hit them corners. The last step is to add our cinnamon pockets to our first layer of batter. Now, two things I want to try with this recipe in the future. The first thing I want to do is put a layer of the cinnamon pockets at the bottom just to see if it would make like a little crust or something. And then the second thing I want to do is just put an entire layer, like not the little pockets, but just pour it and let it solidify and just make one layer in between multiple layers of batter to see how that turns out. But that's just one of the fun things about baking, is just trying and experimenting and see what works and what doesn't. But like I said, just spread this out all over your first layer of batter. No rhyme, no reason, just do whatever your heart and your soul is telling you to do. Spread the remaining batter on top and once again hit them corners. I had a little bit of the cinnamon pockets left over, so I just threw them on top, and here's what we look like before going into the oven. And I did bake this at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. I checked on it every 10 minutes or so just to make sure I didn't overcook. Here's what the cinnamon roll blondies look like out of the oven after it's cooled. The edges are a golden brown and the middle is slightly undercooked. Now, don't be like me, okay? I completely forgot my glaze and went straight into cutting. Had I done this the way I intended, I would have added my glaze about 3 minutes after taking my cinnamon roll blondies out of the oven. So as it's cooling down, all of that sugary goodness can soak in. But that's okay, we're going to add it now. I do not have measurements for this glaze, but y'all, it's just powdered sugar, vanilla, and milk. You can substitute with heavy cream if you want to. If you like a thicker glaze, use less milk and more powdered sugar. If you like a thinner glaze, use more milk and less powdered sugar. Taste it, okay? Taste it and adjust to your liking. Pour your glaze on top and enjoy your delicious homemade cinnamon roll blondie. Let me know what you think of this recipe in the comments. Give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel, y'all, and don't forget to tell somebody, to tell somebody, to tell somebody else to come on over and whisk it with me. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.